Hello and welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be looking at how to use the calculator TI-30XX Multiview by Texas Instruments to solve some of the problems in the Solve Linear Equations Algebra 1 Study Island lesson. And the way it is I would recommend that you work these out yourself and see if you get an answer, and then use the calculator to check yourself. And so when you are doing problems where they're asking you to find a solution or a value of x or a value of x and y or y, you can use the calculator to substitute these back in your answer choices to see if you get the answer. So not all the problems under this lesson will be like this, but some of them will be. So it's a way that can help you out. So what it is these are the four possibilities that we have for x. And we want to see which one of these that when I plug it in where I see x is, so here it's two different places, will it actually equal 30? And remember, anytime you're substituting, you're going to want to use parentheses. So here I'm going to have 13 times x, and I'm going to choose choice A as my first try. So I'm going to have 13, but instead of typing in x, I'm going to type 1 and 3/7 in parentheses. So I'm going to have parentheses. And then I see here is my mixed number above there. So it's in green. So I'm going to press second. And there up pops a mixed number. So I'm going to type in a 1. Scroll over. And then it puts me in the top. So I'm going to type a 3. Scroll down to the bottom of the fraction. Type a 7. And then use the right arrow so that the cursor is blinking at the end. So that I'm completely out of the fraction. And I can put my end parentheses. Next in the equation is a minus 8x, so I'm going to make sure I use my minus button and not the negative button, or it's going to confuse the calculator. And I'm going to type in 8, and then in my parentheses, I'm going to type that same mixed fraction that I'm in letter A. So 1, right arrow, 3, down arrow, 7, right arrow, out, end parenthesis, and press enter. That is not 30, so A can't be my answer. So then I'm going to try 5. So I'm going to have 13 parentheses 5 to substitute in that 5, and then minus 8, and then I have another x, so I put in another parentheses 5, and that's it. I want to see if this actually equals 30. It equals 25, so that's not going to be my answer. So I'm going to try C, which is 6. So I'm going to put 13 parentheses 6 parentheses minus 8 parentheses 6 parentheses. I press enter, and that is 30. So that checks out. That 6 will make both sides equal 30, so C is going to be my final answer. Now what do you do if you have an x on both sides? Well, I'm going to have to try out each side and see if I can get the same number. So first, I'm going to try out the first choice, which is 2, and I have 7x, so that means I'm going to have a 7 parenthesis 2 end parenthesis, and that's all I have on the left side of the equation, so that's all I'm going to type in for now. I press enter, and that equals 14. So now I'm hoping that when I put a 2 in for x here, that this side will also equal 14. If it does not, then that is not my answer. If both sides are 14, then that is my answer. So I'm going to type 3, and there's my x, so I'm going to put parentheses 2, and then I have a plus 20. And that equals 26. These aren't the same numbers, so it can't be A. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that, and I'm going to try B. So the first side I have 7x, and B says 6, so I'm going to try substituting in 6 for x. So I'm going to have 7 parentheses 6, and that equals 42. 7 times 6 is 42. So I want to see if I can get this side, the right side of the equation, to also be 42 when I substitute in 6. So I'm going to have 3, but instead of the x, I'm going to have a parenthesis 6 plus 20, and that gives me 38. So 42 and 38 aren't the same answer, so it can't be B. So I'm going to clear that and try the 5, that is letter C. So I'm going to have 7 parentheses 5 on the left side of the equal sign. So I'm going to press enter, and that gives me 35. So I want to see if I put a 5 into this side, if that will also give me 35. So I'm going to have 3 parentheses 5 instead of the x, plus 20, and that does give me 35. Both sides equaled out to the same number when I tried to substitute in 5, so that means C is going to be my final answer. Now this one, I only have the one x, but it's in a fraction, so I want to show you how to do that. So letter A here, it says the answer is 70, so I'm going to try to substitute in 70 for x and see if that will equal 4. So first I'm going to press my fraction button, and the x is in the top, so that's where I'm going to put the 70. And it's always a good habit to put this in parentheses. So I have the 70 in parentheses on top, 5 on the bottom, and then I need the right arrow to the end of the fraction so that the minus 9 doesn't end up in the denominator too. And then I'm going to press enter, and that equals 5. I want the choice that will give me 4, so A is not going to be my answer. So now I'm going to try the 65 in B. And I can actually just do the same process. So I'm going to press my fraction button, and remember in the numerator is where my x is, so that's where my parentheses 65 is going to go. Scroll down to the bottom and put the 5. Scroll to the right and put minus 9. Press enter, and that one does give me 4. So that means B, 65, is going to be my final answer. Now this one here, it has an x and a y, and in the coordinates here we have an x and y number for each choice. So I'm just going to see if when I substitute in a negative 8 for the x number in choice A and negative 17 for the y number in that same coordinate, if that will make both sides equal. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this. And I have 6x on the left side of the equation, so that means I'm going to take 6 times the x number, which is negative 8 in choice A. So I'm going to have 6 parentheses negative 8, making sure to use my negative button and not my minus button, or the calculator will get confused. And that's all that's on the left side, so I'm going to press enter, and that's negative 48. So now I'm going to try the right side, and see if I get the same negative 48. And so I'm going to have 20 plus 4, and then I have a y, so in parentheses I'm going to put the negative 17, which is my y number, and press enter, and that also gives me a negative 48. So the first choice worked here, and letter A is going to be my final answer. And then the last problem is another problem that has an x and a y number. This time they're on the same side, so I just have to look at the left side and see if any of these combinations of x and y will give me 3. So I have 5 times x. Negative 15 is my x number in choice A. The x number is always the first number in the coordinate. So I'm going to have 5 parenthesis negative 15 end parenthesis. Then I'm going to add 3, and then I have y, and the y number is always that second number in the parentheses, so that's going to be 19. So I'm going to put parentheses 19, enter, and that gives me negative 18, not 3. So A isn't going to be my choice. I need to try B now. So that means I'm going to take 5 times my x number, which is negative 13. So I'm going to have negative 13 in parentheses, plus 3, and then it's a y, so my y number here is 17. So I'm going to have 17 in parentheses. I press enter, and that gives me negative 14. So that means 3 and negative 14, those aren't the same number, so B isn't going to be my answer either. So I'm going to try C. So I'm going to have 5 times my x number, which is negative 10 here. So I'm going to have negative 10 in parentheses, using that negative button and not the minus button, plus 3y. My y number here is 24. So instead of typing y, I type a parentheses 24, I press enter, and that gives me 22. So that means C isn't going to be my answer either. So hopefully when I check D, it gives me 3. So I'm going to do 5. And then my x number here is negative 12. And so I'm going to put that negative 12 in parentheses. And then put plus 3. And then in parentheses put my y number, which is 21 in choice D. Then press enter. And that one does give me 3. So D is going to be my final answer since that one made it equal to 3. So So thank you for joining us today, and I hope this helps you out on that solve linear equations lesson in Study Island.